Hello and welcome to the Final Bell, the official Geelong Cats podcast. It is great to have you with us. We appreciate all of your support throughout season 2020. We certainly appreciate the support of Panther Tyres too. We are brought to you by Panther Tyres. Go and check out the team there. They'll look after you, really. Anything you want for your car, they'll sort you out. Stokesy's experienced it. We've already told the story where Stokesy basically got them to babysit the kids, go and get the groceries, do everything, walk the dog, whatever you need. Panther Tyres sorted Stokesy out. They'll sort you out as well. Really appreciate their support throughout this entire crazy season. Also, big thanks to the team at Town and Country too. Stokesy's mentioned too how much he's used them over the last couple of years.
Don't you start, Mr. Cameron Ling.
Don't come butting into my fiction about Town and Country and the fact that you just have it every single night and breakfast, lunch and dinner.
Well, let's call Joe and see how often you call. Let's bring up
Frank, the great Frank and Joe Rossi sworn to secrecy, Mathew. They would never give up my secrets. However, they just spill your secrets left, right and centre.
Yeah, they would.
Town and Country Pizza are continuing our extra COVID-specific policies and procedures to ensure safety of employees and, importantly, our customers, both in-store and on delivery, including no contact delivery. With the introduction of a Tuesday night deal at all locations, customers can order $15 large pizzas, any variety, to make it easier for all to bring a little joy into their home. There is simple and easy to use online ordering, always available at townandcountrypizza.com.au with multiple payment options. Mathew, we've already heard your voice, but welcome again. How are you?
Thank you, Cameron.
You going well?
Going well. It's garbage truck day today. So we'll be nice and early outside the front in the PJs with the kids in the garbage truck. So I'd like to just do a little shout out to the garbage trucks people, the council. They're a great bunch of people. They always wave to Wilbur, and they dropped off a toy to him this morning. So to all the garbage trucks guys out there from the council, you're doing a great job, and thank you for making my son a little bit happier on a Wednesday morning.
Oh, well done. Well said, Stokesy. Thank you to that, guys. You started off very positive and very happy.
That's going to change quickly, Cameron.
I feel like that might change. We're going to talk all things from Thursday night's game. We're going to look a little bit ahead to next week. We're going to talk some AFLW draft. We're going to talk some little trades and whispers in the air by the man who knows everything that is going on in the AFL. Scott Gullan. Welcome, Scotty.
Hello, Cameron. Wonderful to be here.
You're excited to talk. You've got your ear to the ground. You know what's going on in the entire AFL industry.
I think there's a little bit happening around the traps.
I think Mathew would like to talk about a couple of those things a bit later on.
Mathew's ready to go.
Before we do get there, we are going to talk Thursday night's game. What a weekend of finals footy it was. So let's just leave aside the fact that the Cats weren't on the right side of the ledger over these 4 games. It was a ripping start to the finals.
Well, I didn't enjoy it as that much, Cameron.
Yes, the Dogs, of course, Scotland.
If we go back to my comments last week, there may have been... I didn't know Josh Bruce was going to basically play for St Kilda instead of Footscray, so that was a setback. So, no, it wasn't the greatest weekend, but we managed to tip Collingwood, so that was positive. Sets up a great 2 finals this week.
Stokesy, it was always some stage. Geelong we're going to play Collingwood in a final. I think Scott Pendlebury after the game joked that feels like every finals game he's ever played in has either been against West Coast or Geelong. Cats Collingwood this week. But the first week of finals, let's leave out the Dogs and the Cats results for this team of people. Some ripping games.
Oh, absolutely. Watching that West Coast and Collingwood game, I absolutely sat back. And I'm not really a massive watcher of football. I can watch it in little bit time after time, but I like to change the channel every now and again. But to sit back and watch the Brisbane-Richmond game and watch Brisbane just play with the free-flowing game that they played and attacking nature and just playing footy was a delight to watch. And same with the West Coast Collingwood game, just to watch the essence of just what football is about. You know, some really big contests, there was big moments in the game. People who, DeGoey, a lot of people talk about DeGoey and what's its worth, but had a pretty average game. But when needed, he stepped up, kicked the goal. My check is going to create us problems this week. Was amazing in the second half. But, yeah, it was awesome to sit back and watch the games.
It's funny. I love, too, about that so much of football now is team defence, and our system will beat this system, and we play this way, they play that, all of that. I loved some one-on-one matchups. Genuine. Darcy Moore versus Jack Darling was enthralling.
Yep.
And Jack Darling probably just gets the points, but in crucial moments in the second half, Darcy Moore still kept trying to mark the footy. He's a centre-half back under the pump a bit.
Yep.
Kept marking the footy, taking game on. Liam Ryan versus Braden Maynard was riveting. Maynard is as tough and as hard and as good a defender as you can get. And Liam Ryan did not take a backward step. And even the little moment of Lairising, I loved it. A little show of the footy, and it was outstanding. And Levi Greenwood, to his credit, did a superb job on Tim Kelly and kept him to 11 disposals and helped his team win. It was great, those crucial matchups within the game. Yeah,
watching the pig take out Tim Kelly on the weekend was amazing. I love watching Levi Greenwood. He's someone that I think that would, in a finals is I think Geelong, what we lack is being able to shut down the best midfielder in the opposition, being able to send someone to him and know he might get beaten, but he's going to do everything he can, clawing and grabbing and pinching and everything he can to stop that opponent. And I think that's something that we do lack, that we have that one person that has a little bit of mongrel in him, to send to someone like a Tim Kelly, Scott Pennebury, on the weekend against Port, Boakey or someone like that. So, but the Liam Ryan Maynard, to see them go hammer and tongs each other, and then the respect afterwards is what I love about football. You go hammer and tongs at each other, and I've had some really good run-ins with some players over time. But after the game, it's just, hey, mate, I appreciate that. And me and Grant Burnshaw had some amazing encounters over the years. But as soon as the game was over, it's just another game.
Yeah, what I loved,
to see.
Collingwood had a plan, Ling, and often selection is a big deal in finals, as Geelong know very, very closely. But to play Darcy Cameron, we all looked at him and went, why is he doing this? But they double-teamed Nick Nat, and then he benched Grundy at critical times. I thought it was outstanding coaching.
Yeah, and throwing, I think, 5 players over 200 centimetres, which is a real threat of just being far too tall in a final and a quick-paced final. But it worked. I mean, it's funny, Nick Nat was still clear best on ground.
Oh, yeah, no problem. But Cameron
just
did
the
some good
ability
things.
to wear him down just a tiny bit over time. So maybe in the last 8 minutes of the game, Nick Naitanui is 10% more fatigued than what he would have been. And maybe he just stands up in a couple more moments and gets West Coast over the line. It was brave calls and got it right. Let's look to Thursday night. That's what our listeners do want to talk about. What happened, why it happened. Can I pose the simplest reason? Geelong didn't play overly well, I don't think, as a team.
Which is not ideal.
Not ideal. But they still got pretty close to winning the game. And their superstar, their great All-Australian Coleman medal winning full forward, kicked 0 goals 5 and 1 out on the full. Is it as simple as that? That when your key forward is, if Tom kicks 3 goals 2, if Tom kicks 4 goals 1, 4 goals 2, maybe the out the full is a point, the Cats win? Is it too simplistic to say that, Stokesy?
Look, I think we dominated the game really early. We didn't take our chances, which you need to do in the finals to be able to put the pressure, especially, and create your own enthusiasm, especially when you're playing away and someone else's home ground. I thought we looked horrible for the majority of the game until we get to a position, and what happens time after time against the better teams in the competition is that when it seems like all's lost and we got a quarter to play and we're down by 30 points, and then all of a sudden we seem to play on and we play with freedom and we take the game on, we run and carry, we look dangerous. Why does it happen every time we're down by 5 goals? Why can't we play that in spurts during the game? You've got to have controlled attacking the game. But to do it every time we've already lost a game, it just doesn't make sense, because at the end of the day, the scoreboard looks flattering for us, because I think Port knew that they had the game locked away. But I just can't cop the fact that we looked horrible for the majority of the game. The game almost was lost. We came back, and then all of a sudden we didn't lose by that much. We were in the game. I don't think we were in the game for 90% of it.
Okay. So the idea that Geelong couldn't move the footy or wouldn't move the footy or didn't take the game on, is that Port Adelaide and their outstanding defensive structure, or is that just an acceptance of, Port Adelaide is set up well here, oh, I won't take it because it's not on, rather than trying to actually go, yeah, they're set up pretty well, but I'll still test them.
I guess
It's
it's a
just
little
an
bit of both, to
acceptance.
be honest. Yeah, I think it's definitely the way that Port set up. I think they definitely took a lot out of that first encounter where we beat them quite easy. Like we spoke about last time, I think they never showed their hand too much in that first game, and we were able to rectify a few things. You know, Hawkeye still dominated the game. To have 6 shots on goal in a final, it wasn't all doom and gloom. There's a lot of negativity about Hawkeye regarding that, but one thing with Hawkeye is you can never question his endeavour and trying his best for the team.
Can I jump in there, Stokesy? And I just want to reiterate that because, okay, his job, he would be so down on himself, and his job is to kick the goals. Yes, he's the full forward. So, yes, he has to share responsibility and accept responsibility for not doing his job in this game. But if Geelong were playing Port Adelaide again this week in a magical world, Ken Hinkley's headache would be so massive about what he does with Tom Hawkins, it wouldn't be funny. He wouldn't know what he's doing. Tom Hawkins still completely took apart Trent McKenzie, except for the point that he did not kick the goals.
Yeah.
Which I've already said is, crucially important, and it played a role in the Cats not winning the game. But Hawk was still marking the ball.
Yeah.
Hawk was still a giant headache for Ken Hinkley. Tom Hawkins is still the best key forward in the game right now. And this week, potentially, kicks 5 goals, 1, and we're raving again. So just to settle down a bit, everyone out there who's decided they're going to entirely blame Tom Hawkins for a shocking game of football. He did not kick straight. That's his responsibility. I'm copying that. I'm not making that excuse. But, geez, he still marked the ball well. I would settle down a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm more concerned. Again, Geelong looks slow. Leg speed or ball movement, a bit of combination of both. I mean, Port Adelaide, we know we're going to be like that. Attacking, quick. Yeah, they've got youth on their side, but the defence looks slow and mechanical at times. That just frustrates me. And then, like Stokesy says, when they release the pressure, they suddenly look a bit quicker. But there's leg speed worries me about Geelong at the moment with the team they're picking.
The fact that we were the oldest team in history of AFL, like that says something to me. In a time where we are, trying to, change the game and trying to be ahead of the trends, to have the oldest team, but it just looked, like you said, Scotty, it looks slow. And one thing I'm worried about and I'm concerned about is the X factor in our teams. And I'm not going to Jackie Stevens because everyone knows that I love Jackie Boy. But, Quinton Narker, where the guys have got a bit of flair about them.
Jordan Clark, leg
speed,
does something.
They're clones of each other.
Yeah.
In certain aspects of how they play football. What in a final is that the X factor only gets you a certain far because you need guys who have grunt. You need guys who are going to put their socks up and put their head over the footy. I think we have guys sometimes who maybe pick and choose when they go as hard as they should be, but we don't have the X factor part to, make that work together. And I think that's the danger of, especially our midfield, is that we're a very similar type of player, but also too, we pick and choose when we want to be hard.
And you can't in finals because that gets magnified times 100. The only thing I'll take issue with on your point, Scotty, a little bit is around the leg speed. I don't cop that you need elements of genuine leg speed. I'm talking about running ability and tuck the ball under the arm and sprint away and have a bounce type run. You need elements of that, absolutely. But you don't need to be filled with lightning fast runners to still be a quick team.
There has to be a mix. The mix isn't right.
I look at Port Adelaide, Ollie Wines, Tom Rockcliffe, Travis Boak even. None of them are lightning quick at all. But they move the ball very quickly. That's where, you remember our team, Stokesy? Well, we all know I was super, super fast. I just chose to move a bit slower. I had gears in me I just never wanted to use. But myself, Jimmy Bartell, Joel Corey was an excellent runner, but he wasn't lightning quick. Darren Milburn off half back. All these players, not overly, not in my case, quite slow. Not overly quick players, but we moved the ball quick. We took a first option. The ball can always move faster than someone running with it.
Yeah.
So you can have a slowish team, or not even a slowish team, but slower players, But if your intent is to move the ball quick, your team can still be very, very fast.
But at the moment, it's magnified, isn't it? The way Geelong want to play.
Yeah,
and
we
it
don't
doesn't
have the
help.
line breakers.
Correct. Well, Jordan
and combined
Clark.
with the fact that we're moving it slow, it looked on
Correct.
Thursday night very, very slow.
So where's Jordan Clark? Is he fit? Is he out of favour?
His name hasn't been mentioned at all, Scotty.
Okay, so he's out. Jackie Stevens injured. Sparkle played well, and Sam Simpson played well in a practice match, apparently. So they add something. Now, we have to talk about Brian Myers. Has his credits run out?
There'd be some hard conversations this week. I think they probably back him in again. But
you think?
His form has tailed off considerably.
At some point, you got to say, mate, you're out of form.
So Fogarty would have to come in for him. Is that what you're saying?
Or Simpson or Narkle. I've got no problem with one of them. They can play that role.
We've also got to what I think with this group. I do genuinely think we can still win it this year. A lot of things have to change really quickly, obviously with Collingwood this week. But where's the reality of where this list's at? That's where I think and where I come into terms with this. Are we good enough? If you're taking Brian Myers out, he's the future of our club. In a small capacity, he's never going to be a Joel Selby. He's never going to be a Tom Hawkins, but he's a future. So are we putting all that eggs in one basket to please the older players to give them one more crack at a premiership, or are we trying to build up a team that's sort of willing to win now, but also to looking at our eyes in the future to know who are going to be a part of the next group of guys who can take the club forward? Because in my eyes, we're confused as a club of where that is.
Well, that it's a decent question because while you're involved in finals and it's still a threat to win the premiership.
Oh, absolutely.
You've got to be thinking about the here and now. But if Brian Myers was to go out, and I think he gets another chance, but if he was to go out, replacing him with a Lockie Fogarty is okay because it's another young player who's getting finals experience, if that's your eye to the future. Replacing him with a Jack Steven now, if Jack Steven was fit, would be a step backward for me.
Yeah.
I think I just look at the way that they've played, the intent to play through that middle part of the year when I just absolutely fell in love with what they were doing now compared to now. Playing as a small forward, when that ball is pinging around a bit more and you're prepared to test the opposition with your ball movement, even if they're well set, playing as a small forward is a lot easier than when the ball's coming in a lot quicker and there's a bit of chaos. The slowness with which the ball moved on Thursday night at times, good luck as a small forward, really, doing anything. Stokesy, you played the role. When slow and stagnant and backwards and sideways and all of it, like you wouldn't know where your position. You just end up running 16 Ks in a game, side to side and up and back and really doing nothing.
I think with a small forward inside in the finals, the rest of the year it's open. You know, you can lead up and be able to get yourself into a game by getting a cheap kick to the side of the contest or doing a quick lead up. But when it comes to finals, like the game is so contested. And if I was Brian Myers, I wouldn't leave Tom Hawkins' bum cheeks. I would be right beside him because the ball's going to get in every time, and he's either going to mark it or the ball will come to ground. So the only thing is, I thought our forwards worked themselves out of position a lot watching it. I love watching the forward line and how they work and how they operate. But when you have so many guys who spend their time trying to run away from their opponents instead of trying to engage that contest and just beating them one-on-one instead of trying to beat them by getting 10 metres in front of them, getting a short lead up, when really that should probably be Hawkey. I just found that we got ourselves out of position too much during the game. It's
an outstanding point you make because it's not just the fact that the forward line will be in a contest. The chances are 99% of the time in a final, the bloke kicking the footy is going to be under enormous pressure, either physically or even in his mind. He's going to be rushed in his mind, thinking, I've got to kick a second quicker than I normally would, which means that he maybe doesn't spot that perfect lead, as you said, running away from the defender all the time. It might be a higher, longer kick just because he thinks, I'm under the pump, I've got to get out of trouble here. And if you've led yourself out of position, well, you're going to be outmarked. It's an outstanding point you make. Can I just float one possible swap? Esava Ratugolea comes in, given the height of Collingwood. Gary Rowan didn't work again in the forward line. Do they look at bringing Sav in as that second tall, plus as the backup ruckman? leaves Blitzarves free to be more flexible and wing defensive role?
Yeah, no, I don't mind the sound of that. I mean, Rowan's pressure is allegedly half the reason he's there, but was that really prevalent? And they got to look at the defence again. I mean, Collingwood goes with what? Cox and Myercheck and the rest of mediums to small. As we know,
Cox, Myercheck and De Goey's the third tall, yeah.
So we've got Harry, Henderson, Kolajasny, Henry. Like, they're all tall-ish people. Stewart, do they have to make a change there too?
Well, and Port Adelaide.
Tui could go back. That sort of, you can move it around. Blitzarves could even go back if he has to.
Well, if he has to, yeah, and may end up doing that. I think having that flexibility of Sav in the team means Blitz could do it if things went a bit pear-shaped.
So you make a call on Harry or Hendo. Make a hard call. They're going to have to make a hard call this week on selection. Myers or a defender.
Harry plays on Cox.
Yeah, obviously.
Hendo plays on Myercheck to start with.
All right, well, what do you do with Kolajasny, Henry? I mean, they both had so-so evenings last week.
Yeah. That's it. Kolajasny's played on De Goey in the past, but he's going to have to really step up his performance after the weekend. He'd know that. Henry was jittery, which was a surprise because I thought he'd been terrific all season. Port Adelaide played Tom Stewart beautifully on the weekend. Credit to them. Didn't let him get involved too much. It's...
I don't know. They've got to get it right because there's no obvious... The matchups are a bit... Collingwood offers something different there.
Plenty to think about. I know we are limited by the amount of time we can talk about this, and it's a tough thing for the match committee. I do have one little bit of good news just for the competitive part of me. The Geelong members ticket sales are outstripping the Collingwood members right now. so we might
have got more in Queensland.
Nice home crowd there, Stokesy. That's something to grab onto. I want to take a break, Stokesy, and then we're going to get to questions. But in that, I do want to I'll drill down on Scotty Gullan's brain and what's going on in the world of football around trades and possible inclusions. Because I did read a headline of a player who might be coming to Geelong next year. Nothing surer, I think, was the comment used that this player is headed towards the Cats. I'd love to get your opinion on that. And Scotty, any other little nuggets that you might have tucked away in that brilliant brain of yours? We're going to get to after the break, if that's okay.
I look forward to this, Cameron.
Excellent. Let's take a break. We'll be up with your questions next, and we're going to talk some player movement as well. Welcome back. It is great to have you with us on to the final bell. Big thanks to Panther Tyres, I mentioned at the start, for all of their support throughout the year. The members, sponsors, everyone of the Geelong Football Club have just been outstanding throughout the season. The club is in a much better position than first forecast because of all of those incredible people out there. So thank you so much. Deakin University has also been with us throughout this season on the podcast, and digital is in Deakin University's DNA with 40 years of experience in distance and online learning. Discover why they're the #1 Australian public university for overall educational experience. Premium, proven, loved. Study online at Deakin. And I really do mean that. Talking with Brian Cook and some of the board members, when COVID first hit and the shutdown and the no crowds, the genuine fear about how badly positioned the club was going to be after all of this washed out compared to what they are now. Huge thank you to the members and all of the supporters and sponsors of the Geelong Footy Club. You have been incredible. Time to get to your questions, and I want to get to a little bit of player movement as more teams finish up their season and a couple more eliminated on the weekend. You start talking about trades and free agency. It's all going to be more condensed this year, given the later finish to the year. We're going to get to that in just a second. If you haven't noticed, Scotty, right now, I am called what you like to call scrambling.
Yes.
As I am trying to find emails on my phone.
We're allowing you to do that and watching with much immerse.
Just with a big smile. There we go. I found the questions now.
You're a professional. Actually, can I raise something? Mathew?
Yes.
Have you noticed something on the television that I fell off my couch?
Oh, the ad with Simon Black?
the blitz of Cameron Ling ads that have suddenly appeared. He's on multiple ads.
So you're just using our platform to go get yourself some money from cash converters, are you? Mind you, that commentary of Blackie
And
Walker
there's a McDonald's one too. Is there two going around, Cameron?
Now, you two. Did you? First of all, did you not think the commentary of Simon Black's any good, Mathew?
I thought it was pretty average. Looking at Blackie is always a pleasure. He looks in great nick.
Yeah, he looks. Yeah, absolutely.
See, that's what I thought. Anything associated with Simon Black, I just bask in the glory of the man that is Simon Black. One of the greatest blokes to ever play the game of football, one of the greatest players to ever play the game of football, and one of the most beautiful men to ever play the game of football.
I'm with you 100% on all three of those.
Well, let's not get away from the key point here, Cameron. And is there a McDonald's one as well, did I see?
Oh, I think they're called sales activations or something. We don't, just Yeah,
you give them a lot of sales. That's what you do.
I spend enough on coffee and soft serve cones for the kids at McDonald's. I need a little bit back.
What Mathew and I have done, your profile was sort of on the wane, and look what we've done. We've got you back up, feeding the kids again, all those mansions you own and pubs you own. It's just a joke.
You've got K-Rock, you've got cash converters, you've got
Shredders, Maccas. I mean, Stokes, you're lucky you get a pizza from Town and Country if you're lucky.
Well, that's worth. Are you on Bay FM,
nah.
Stacey?
Anyway, our listeners.
I'm glad you brought that up. I thought you would have seen that over the weekend, and I was waiting, hoping I'd get through the whole podcast.
No, I was watching the game with Domsy, Tom Lonigan, and Brad Oddens, and I'll tell you, we had a good chuckle at that, Cameron.
Just trying to make ends meet during these difficult COVID times. It's I did. Now, Mathew, you were kind enough to send some photos to me of you and Domsy and Otto, just sharing a lovely meal and watching a little bit of the football.
Yep.
And I've never been more jealous in all my life. Just a nice cold pot, watching the footy, having a palmy with you boys. Would have been sensational, but clearly forgot to invite your old skipper. And I was sitting at home.
Billy Brownless obviously was the host. So unfortunately, we had to put up with him for the 2 hours. But the sitting down arrangements, every time we got up and started carrying on, Billy was quick to pull us back in. So Otto was in good form like he always is, and Tom Lonigan went missing in certain times. So, look, it was a good night, but obviously the game itself was a bit disappointing. But next time, Cameron, next time.
Thank you, Mathew. Righto, let's get these questions. Lily asks, who's winning Kaji at the moment, do you think?
Whoa.
Cam Guthrie?
Guthrie, Menengola would be close.
What about Hawkins?
Yeah, I said Hawkins.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah,
Hawkins. Sorry, did you say Hawk, Stokesy?
Yep.
I didn't hear that one.
They are the three, you'd think.
I'm going to go for consistency over the year right now. Cameron Guthrie just ahead of Hawkins.
Yeah, I think I'm in your camp.
I'm with you with that.
Thank you for that, Lily. Steph asks, which of your teammates got up for finals the most?
Well, we just mentioned him, didn't we? The big fella didn't do much during the year until finals.
Oh, big
Bradley.
Big Pill Ottens.
The one thing about our group is I think everyone got up because we were all competitive as. I mean, I don't think we had any player in our team who you had to worry about coming final. And I think that was the beauty of why we were successful, that when the time, and sometimes it worked as a negative, but when the times got tough and when it was close in the final, everyone wanted the ball in their hands. Now, that meant Chappie and Stevie were fighting for the ball. But that's why we were good, because we had guys who actually wanted to be the man. And majority of the time, if they got it, they did. But what they did was they also realised the importance of the little things in finals. And you've got to combine the want to be the man, but also to get dirty. And I think that's why our team was so good. We had a good spread of just guys who just did the right things at the right time, at the right moment.
And I always used to feed off the belief too, Stokesy, as I looked around, even if I personally was finding it tough in a final, or you looked around and there were one or two of our, what you call our best players were just a little bit down, you'd still look around and you go, he's not going to back down. He's not going to back down. He's not going to. There was the comfort of 15 other guys, 20 other guys, you just go, oh, okay, cool. Now we'll sort this out. We've got a bunch of competitive guys, very good players who are built and trained and just up for this moment. It's okay that one or two of us might be just feeling the pressure and struggling a little bit. I'll feed off the comfort of knowing we're not reliant on one or two players. And I always felt that amongst the crazy swirling mess of 100,000 people at the G and knowing everything's on the line, that it's not, when we got enough guys to take care of this. That always calmed me in those big moments.
My greatest comfort playing finals was the forward line was stacked with talent. It was as good as they got. The midfield was talent ridden everywhere. My greatest comfort was being able to look at our back line and seeing Scarlo, Dasher, Enright, Lonigan, and knowing they wouldn't get beaten.
Mm.
So whatever happens on the rest of the field, at least our back line, knowing the way they played and who they were, we weren't going to get beaten.
As you reel off those names, sometimes it's nice to reminisce during finals time because that's what we can do. But they were the biggest bunch of ruthless animals to ever walk the earth, it feels like. You throw them out on a football field and they would take no prisoners. They were animals. And you knew that. And you knew that they might deliver a little word to you as a teammate every now and then to lift your game. But you knew that whatever they were unleashing on you as a teammate, times that by 1,000 for what they were doing to the opposition.
Exactly right.
It was gold. It's fun to reminisce now that we're old blokes, Stokesy.
Exactly.
Damien asks, Ling and Stokesy, I enjoy hearing your thoughts on the Cats and other clubs so much. Why aren't you coaching? Scotty could be your media manager.
Oh, yes. I'd love to work with Mathew Stokes and be his media manager.
Mathew,
It would be...
have you ever considered? What's your thoughts on coaching?
Look, I think coaching is something that you've really got to commit to, and you've got to love football. I love people, and I love being able to help kids and share what I've learned over the journey, the good and the bad. I don't think getting into coaching right now is a good move. But it's something that I have thought about, and I have spoken to people in the industry regarding that. I think it's important to understand so many different areas of football. I mean, I'm in administration at the moment, and I do work with our HR and our commercial team on what that looks like and learning the ins and outs of that. I think eventually we'll go into the footy department and like to know whether that's at Geelong or another club. I'm not too sure, but coaching and even the local coaching. I mean, I'd love to have the opportunity to do it. I think at the right time and the right moment will arise sooner or later, Cameron. But
it makes me sad to hear, though, and I get you, by the way. I get you fully. To be an assistant coach or ultimately a senior coach at AFL level, you have got to consume football 24/7 and, be across what every other team's doing and what your team's doing and all these. It's such a huge thing. But it makes me sad to think that is the environment and the way you have to be a coach when you say, I'm a people person. I love people.
Yeah.
That to me should qualify you to be one of the best coaches going around. Like that's to have you in a football department with that attitude towards people. And I know it. I've seen it. Your caring nature, your ability to push people too. You're not just there to comfort and support. You push people and challenge people to be their best. That to me is what coaching should be all about, and not the grind necessarily of all the edits and the watching replays of that one and huge long meetings. People should be at the heart of coaching. So I'd love it if that attitude and your attitude got into coaching the young people of AFL and in particular the club that we both love.
Cameron, why you made a conscious decision not to go coaching line? Why did you do that at that time?
You know what? I got so far down the track of, being really close to going down coaching more because of the expectations of others and the support and urgings of other people. They thought I'd be a good coach. At no point in my entire life, my entire childhood,
Did you want to be coach?
Yeah, I wanted to play footy. That was my dream. I wanted to play for the Cats. That was my ultimate dream. I wanted to win a premiership for Geelong. That was my never going to happen in a million years, but that tiniest chance of maybe in this bizarre universe I could play in a premiership for the team that I adored since I was 5. I got to do that. At no stage throughout that entire time, no stage through my entire playing career did I go, geez, I really want to coach. I'd love to coach one day. So I thought, well, why do something that others wanted me to do and I never really passionately wanted to do?
No, that's good.
I'm kind of glad I pumped the brakes because I got so far down the track, I was nearly going to do something that I wasn't really wanting to do. Now, that might change. That not at AFL level. I might enjoy coaching little Maxi Ling's under 13 team one day and go, oh, this is fun. And I love coaching under 15 teams or under 18 teams. That could grow with time. But right now, I don't have that urge, and I kind of haven't for a few years. I'm with Stokes, though. I love seeing young people develop and the nurturing of talent of people who are committed to being the best they can be. That excites me. So much of the other stuff that goes with it, no real interest at all, Scotty.
One thing I've got a real passion for at football clubs is we bring these kids in at 18 years of age, but we tell them how they have to should they live their lives. We treat everyone in a similar boat. What I miss is giving the kids the chance to improve as footballers, but be who they are, and not trying to change them or not trying to mould them into what we think a professional footballer should be. Because I think when you try and change the personality of the person, it changes the footballer they are. I mean, you look at Jordan Clark. Jordan Clark is out there. He speaks his mind. He's a bit of rough around the edges on certain things. And he plays that way. And I love that. But I feel and it's not just Geelong, it's the whole environment of the AFL footy is we try and climb into a certain way. And I think sometimes that shows on the footy field because sometimes it's bloody boring to watch.
So you had, and I agree with you about that personal, that natural instinct and flair. How do we balance that with also teaching them how to act and behave as professionals, and the fact you do have to be a certain fitness level, you do have to live your lifestyle a certain way to still be able to be the best player you can be without changing their natural instinct and natural flair and natural personality?
I think we got to do what we do with all young people, isn't it? We let them learn the hard ways. I mean, there was times I come back in my first 2 years where I was a little bit overweight, but Ron Watt and Neil Baum and these type of people at the football club and were really quick to hug me and say it's okay, but at the same time go in the gym and start to work out. Like, this is not acceptable, but you're still a good person, you're still a good kid, and you're still part of our family, but it's unacceptable for you to come back fat. Not fat. A little bit overweight or unfit, whatever you like.
Well,
I think you can have the hard conversations. I think you can actually tell someone they're not doing the right thing, but you've got to be able to have the relationship with them to then be able to go back to them and say, I still love you. You're still a good kid. I'm just trying to tell you that you need to do this, this, and this because what you've done is unacceptable. And I think there is a place in that. And I think that's what Barmy, and that's what I love Barmy more than anyone in the football industry that I've ever met, was Barmy was really quick to give me some savage feedback. But then 2 minutes later, I'd be walking down the hall, and then all of a sudden, Big Gorilla's got me in a bear hug. And it's Barmy going, I still love you, kid. I still love you. That's what, to me, is what football should be about.
Well said, Stokesy. Excellent. I do love your... Are you sure you don't want to coach, Mathew? Some of your feel for players and understanding and
your feedback to players would be very, very positive too, Mathew. I like it.
It'd be a bit of a a-hole sometimes, Scotty.
It's direct. They'll know where they stand.
I do it with a smile, though, Scotty.
I know you do.
You know what you do with it, though, Mathew? You do it from a place of caring and from a place of really strong relationships, which our former mentor, Bomber Thompson, could deliver some of the most savage feedback in the history of mankind, but always knew that it was from a place of caring and making you better and a good relationship. Hey, I want to ask you a second about player movement, but I do just quickly want to get to the AFLW draft, so we're recording this on Wednesday morning. The draft happened last night. Congratulations to all the girls who were picked up right across the draft, the opportunity now to live their dream of playing AFLW football, but to the new Geelong players, AFLW. Darcy Maloney, the Cats' first pick at pick 10, Laura Gardner, Olivia Barber, Steph Williams, and Carly Ramos. I hope I've pronounced that one correctly. Fantastic to have all of those girls. A lot of them through Geelong Falcons. I do notice Steph from the Darwin Buffaloes.
Apart from the Darwin Buffaloes, but I'm a Darwin Buffaloes. I'm a Palmerston Magpie person. But Steph, I looked after a few years ago in the Indigenous women's program called the Woomers at the AFL Hub, and you could not get a nicer young lady than Steph Williams. So to all the girls, though, congratulations. Welcome to the family. But Steph's definitely my favourite already. She's my favourite football player already, and she will be Wilbur's and Franklin's favourite player as well. But she's raw. She's quick. She's going to be exciting to watch. So looking forward to watching all those girls' careers unfold. But I'll definitely keep a close eye on Steph.
And we've seen a definite theme from the club with their recruiting around local talent and building that connection with this local region and the western region of Victoria. Nina Morrison, Olivia Purcell, all of these, the local talent. There must be some really good girls coming through and will be for the next few years. And that's the exciting future of AFLW. Scotty, what's I probably should have researched this. I apologise. AFLW season at the moment is progressing as planned for next year, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's still like January, February. Yeah, they're still on track.
February, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Good. Well, so that's good news with this crazy COVID nature, and no doubt these girls will get into the club and get settled in and hopefully have wonderful careers. We are going to wrap things up. Last thing I want to just ask you about, Scotty, just a bit of the player movement sort of stuff at the moment. We noticed Adam Sard has made his intentions known that he wants to leave Essendon. Nominated Carlton as his preferred
Carlton, yeah. So he I think he's had 3 years at Essendon and has decided they're not going where he wants them to go. So this is the new way. Players say, right, I'm out. I'm going to Carlton.
Player power now.
Player power, absolutely. If you're out of contract, you get to pick and choose a fair bit. I mean, a deal still has to be done, which with Essendon, you never know if that actually gets over the line. But I listened into Sean Higgins, North Melbourne former Bulldog, yesterday at a TAB launch, which I'm surprised you went at, Cameron, because you're in everything. And
especially if it's free.
Correct. He was fairly obvious he was leaving North, and my understanding is the Geelong Football Club is right there. Now, I'd be very interested. He's 30, I don't know, 32. 32-year-old coming in, another one. What are our thoughts there, Mathew?
Look, Sean Higgins is a tremendous player, and he's a really good bloke. But our club, I mean, what's the message that we're giving to our younger players coming through the program, that if we keep topping up every year with a 32-year-old or a 30-year-old, eventually we're going to have to get rid of them all. And we've then sacrificed giving opportunities to our younger players. I mean, to me, that's the strongest part, is that what message can we sell to Lockie Fogarty, Jordan Clark,
Trucker,
Constable, Quinton Narkle, Nakai Cockatoo? We've got 10 to 15 younger kids coming through that are dying for an opportunity, but every year we keep bringing in these older players. And it's not about Sean Higgins. It's about what's our club actually going to stand for, and what's the direction of our club? Are we hanging on to being able to give an opportunity to Hawke and Selzy and Dage to give them one more chance at a premiership? Or
no doubt, that's their theory. And Brad Crouch could be another. I mean, everyone thinks Geelong's number one in the van for him as well. So there's another player jumping ahead of the queue of a few of the younger players.
Brad Crouch is a bit different. He's a bit younger.
He's younger. I understand that, but it's the same philosophy.
And Stokes' point's a good one, though, Scotty. It's not about the name and a shot at Sean Higgins.
No, of course.
It's about a club philosophy. So, and I was critical of Jack Stephen, and it's not, again, it wasn't a shot at Jack Stephen, who I think is a wonderful footballer. I was critical of the recruitment of Jack Stephen purely on the philosophy of that is games that should go to a younger player. So Jack Stevens plays 9 games this year, all deservedly, because he's a good enough player to be playing senior football. I don't know if he played 9 or whatever he played. If that 9 games goes to Lockie Fogarty plays a total of, call it 15, 16 games this year. That's another 15 or 16 games, plus next pre-season under his belt, which will stand us in much better position in season 2021. It's the same with Sean Higgins. Sean Higgins plays 17 games next year. Is that 17 games that could have gone to Jordan Clark? Now, Clark might play anyway. It could be 17 games that would go to Cooper Stevens. And I don't feel like you're sacrificing the now by doing that, because you can still win by getting 16, 17 games into Lockie Fogarty or 16, 17 games into Jordan Clark throughout the season and still be having a shot at a premiership.
With the shrinking list, I guarantee if you get Higgins in, one of Narkle, all those blokes you mentioned, will leave Constable, because the shrinking list, a club will come knocking. So it's going to happen. There's going to be complications.
Because you look at it in a sense of, if you just say you're, I hate to put Chook Constable in this, but if you're a Chook, every year we seem to top up on the other end. So if you just hang in there, you'll get opportunities to play in the midfield. The next year we go get Jack Stevens.
Yeah.
This year we're going to get Crouch. We're going to go get Sean Higgins. Chook is sitting there going, why am I hanging around this for this?
Yeah.
And our younger group and our younger core player are our future of our club. And I just think that if you're an older player and you ask Selzy or you ask Hawkey, should we go after Sean Higgins? Bloody oath they're going to say yes, because that means they keep them. It might make their list a little bit bigger, because all they're worried about is the right now. But the motto that I've always felt that our club's always stood by is that no individual is more important than the team. And for me, this is not about the older players in our group, but this is about saying we bring in Sean Higgins, we keep ourselves in that top 4 range. And I don't particularly like that outlook on our list.
The argument, the counter argument that would be made if this decision goes ahead is, well, we give up nothing for Sean Higgins because you don't need to make a trade. You limited.
Yeah, but you're going to have to get rid of a young player. The list.
Listen,
I know what
Scotty,
you're
that's
saying.
what I believe. I'm just playing devil's advocate. What the argument would be, and why wouldn't you have a quality player on your team that you've had to give nothing up for?
No, I get that point, but shrinking list, shrinking salary cap, it impacts.
The most important thing for a young kid is opportunity. So if you're giving up that opportunity for them to play, like you said, the 10 to 15 games next year because Sean Higgins comes in, that's sacrificing a lot. That's sacrificing our future.
Now, Ablett retires. Harry Taylor, I don't think he said it, but he probably retires.
I think he retires.
Some of that age will go out of the team. Is there still a place for an old, again, I'm just playing devil's advocate there. Is there still a place for an experienced player to come in without tipping the balance too much?
Well, I think Geelong have got the balance right, clearly, because they've remained competitive while still rebuilding in a sense. Not that they ever have properly rebuilt, because they haven't had to. So it's, Ablett out, Higgins in. You can argue that's what's happening. But again, like Stokesy pointed out, well, why couldn't it be Ablett Fogarty in? But that's not going to happen.
What it does is it just makes that drop when we do eventually hit that time in a place that we need to rebuild. It's just going to make that cliff very steep, because eventually they're all going to be 32 to 34. You're going to have Hawkey, Dangerfield, Sell, Higgins, all these types of Dowhouse, Gary Rowan, Reece Stanley. You've got between 5 to 10 players who are all in 2 years' time or next year are going to hit a certain age bracket, and they're going to go, well, we need to get rid of all of you, but then we need to keep a couple of you on. So I just don't think it's – I understand what we're trying to do, but I always think that as our core values of a football club is that our future is always the most important thing. So right now, it should never be in the way of that. So,
and do you mind because I believe strongly in your philosophy that you're talking about, Stokesy, so please don't take this as me sharing this other philosophy. Do you mind me if I keep posing the devil's advocate argument against you? Is they say, well, why do we have to hit a cliff? We get Brad Crouch in, replaces Joel Selwood with a 26-year-old version. We get Joe Danaher, just throwing names. That'll be Tom Hawkins' replacement.
That would be very positive.
We get Sean Higgins in now that replaces Ablett. And keep going with that sort of formula that says, well, we never have to hit a cliff then. We can keep remaining competitive by adding these types of players.
I don't necessarily think that a cliff is bombing out. I mean, we've done it better and this, I'll give our club a huge amount of credit. We've done what no other club's been able to do. We've been able to start at the top, regardless of whatever you say about our finals series record. We've done what every other club would beg for their club to be able to do over 20 years. We've been able to stay up the top of the food chain. But what I'm trying to say is it's okay if you keep topping it up with certain players who hit an age bracket where they have continual growth at our football club and we're not seeing the back end of their career. And just because they're from Geelong shouldn't be, we should give them 2 more years at the end of their careers to be able to then, help our list that's already there to be able to succeed. For me, Brad Crouch is a perfect, opportunity that he's 25 to 27. He'll be with a core group of players like Blittabs, Cam Guthrie, that be able to take the next step to take the club in the direction that they think they should be taking it instead of it being Joel Selwood. I just think that you can't have all your apples in the one basket. And at the moment, I think we are. We've focused so heavily on our top 10 players that the bottom 10 is something that we need to start to focus on because they're the guys that are going to leave and go looking for and searching for opportunities. And I just think that's, for me, is what we should be doing as a club, is being able to keep an eye on it with Brad Crouch and these types of players, but also too making sure that we look after the guys who, probably aren't the first person's name when it comes to, the 22 that play every week.
I share your philosophy, Stokes. I certainly do. I'm purely just giving the ultimate argument there. I look at the ability to make brave decisions too, in order to jump from not just being very competitive and making finals to actually being the best team in the competition. And I give Ken Hinkley and Port Adelaide some credit here. A couple of years back, they'd made a couple of prelims in a row, realised, that's about our peak. Chad Wingard's a star. Prepared to let him go. Prepared to let others leave in order to lock back in on identify a couple of people in the draft and go, we want these guys. Zach Butter's influence on the Thursday night's game was phenomenal. In crucial moments, he didn't have 35 touches and anything like that, but in absolute, unbelievably crucial moments, Zach Butters stood up. That's that youth coming through that you can, if you identify them right and develop them right, can actually elevate you to best team in the competition status. So, yeah, I'm with you. I'd prefer the games going into Fogarty to Cooper Stevens, see what we've got within the last couple of drafts. We've got a really good hand in the draft this year. That's where the focus should be, I believe. But I've always
imagine being able to give Cooper Stevens and these guys some games with Patrick Dangerfield and Joel Selwood. To me, that's where I think we're missing the opportunity to be able to give these guys a chance to be able to work. Giving the chance of, Raddy Galea more of an opportunity to work with Hawkey before they finish up, because, we're not going to see another Hawkey or Joel Selwood at our club for a long time. They don't come up very often. We've been blessed as a club for a long period of time to have some superstars, but the type of people that we need and we want to, attract to our football club is the Joel Selwoods and the Tom Hawkins. So being able to give them some time with our younger players is the most important thing for me. Absolutely.
Well said, Stokesy. So we've probably gone a little bit longer than we promised on the podcast, but hopefully all of our listeners enjoyed that chat as well, because we are right in finals mode and the excitement is all around finals, but you always do have one eye on the future, and if things don't go to plan either this Saturday night or the following week, about how the team can improve. So great to chat about that sort of stuff. Scotty, thank you very much for joining us. Always love just checking out your little whisper in the Herald Sun every week. It's especially with a bit of hub life going on. You're always on the money with everything that's happening across the AFL.
There is lots happening, Cameron.
golf today, Scotland?
No. I have very busy commitments, like
All right, get back to
resurrecting my
work.
fantasy team.
Stokesy, thank you very much for your time and love your words. You sure you don't want to coach? We can, please? Pretty please?
No, I'm pretty good at the moment.
We're going to get some listeners begging you to take up the coaching reins. But love hearing from you, mate. Enjoy the week. We will talk next week. We'll be back. We'll have all your questions, so keep those coming in. And hopefully we are talking about a terrific Cats win over the Pies on Saturday Night Football.